Good morning. Good morning. My name is Adris Harrell, and on behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware, I welcome you to our worship service. You are welcome, no matter who you are, how you look, whom you love, what you own, or what you believe. If you are a visitor and want to learn more about First Unitarian Church or Unitarian Universalism, please visit our website at firstuuwilm.org. You can sign up for our weekly newsletter or check out our Facebook page so you won't miss any of the activities going on in the next few months, especially the day camp for adults from Sunday, August 28th through Tuesday, August 30th, and in-gathering weekend activities, which include a block party and coffee house entertainment on Saturday, September 10th. A memorial service will be held today for longtime member John Priest at 2 p.m. A link to the live stream can be found in the weekly e-news that was sent out on Friday. COVID community spread is at the medium level this week, so masks are required inside the church building. After the service today in the parish hall, please take a look at the wooden bowls and items for sale in support of independent living for young adults, known as ILYA. These were generously donated by Tom and Sue Hodges, and we thank them for creating the new initiative, Hand to Hand. Also after the service at 11:45, Ilya will present in the sanctuary information about volunteering for the student care package. For those of you at home, you can attend the information session via Zoom. The project sends care packages to young adults who have aged out of foster care and are attending college, technical schools, or the military. This helps provide them with support and motivation to continue their education. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Larry Piers, minister here at First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, and I'm taking a good look of each of you. Glad to see you, and thanks to those who are joining us online. This is my first Sunday after a summer break in the sanctuary. So Adris has promised me that if I miss a cue or something and it can't pass as Larry being in a deep meditation, that she'll give me a reminder or a prompt. So I hope I don't miss a cue. So welcome to this service in which we will focus on the ways of healing. Call to worship. Come into this circle of healing and peace. Sense in this moment what your soul really needs. Seek to receive from this time of worship whatever inspires and encourages your soul to unfold. Each of us, of course, will draw upon different things for our own healing. For some, it will be words, others music, or others moments of silence. For some it will be thoughtful personal reflection or caring companionship. Together may we feel encouraged by the presence of one another and by a healing presence that gathers as we gather during this holy time, in this holy space. So may it be. Amen.
If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join me by lighting it. We light this flame as our fervent plea to brighten the dark corners of our hearts. We kindle this light that we might continue to find comfort in its warmth, strength in its light, holiness in its presence. We follow this light that it might illuminate our search for purpose, for meaning, and forgiveness. We light this flame of life, of love and truth for the divine promise of healing hearts. Please rise and body your spirit to sing hymn 1007 in the Teal hymnal, "There's a River Flowing in My Soul." The words will be projected on the screen.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
Let us join together in a time of prayerful meditation. Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen reminds us in her wonderful collection entitled Kitchen Table Wisdom that in our process of healing or moving towards wholeness, we each will find our own way. Raymond advises some people heal because they have work to do. Others heal because they have been released from their work and the pressures and the expectations that others place on them. Some people need music. Others need silence. Some need people around them. Others need to be alone. Many different things can activate and strengthen the life force within us. She concludes, for each of us, there are conditions of healing that are as unique as a fingerprint. So let each of us take a moment now, right now, to sense what is at the edge of our own particular healing in this moment. What is it that will help to strengthen the life force within each of us? What conditions of healing are beckoning us right now? Let us open up to and connect with the inner wisdom that is reaching out to us even now and wanting to be heard. So in this prayerful silence that follows, let us each open our hearts to the possibility of healing, to the unfolding of more wholeness, even now. Each week we take a time to attend to the concerns of our own hearts and spirit, the concerns that we might have for ourselves, those we love, those we care about, and for this world that we share. So during this time, let's take a moment first of reflection. And then as I invite you, I would like you to speak into this room, if you choose to, the particular concern that you are holding today so that you do not have to hold it alone. And if you're joining us online, you may write in the chat your particular concern, the thing that you are holding in your own heart. So let's pause for a moment to reflect on the concerns of our own hearts and spirit. And if you want to speak into this room, then those concerns so that we could hear one another. May those concerns, spoken or unspoken, feel surrounded by a caring love. May all whose names were spoken find peace and healing this day. For all those names not spoken, may they find peace and healing this day.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me. Speak for me. Speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me. Speak for me. Speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Back to comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul.
These words are from Saki Santarelli's Heal Thyself, Lessons on Mindfulness and Medicine. I have had my share of cuts, scars, stitches, and shots. As a child, I always looked at the needle entering the skin, the syringe-assisted movement of fluid shuttling into or out of this body, the black gut sliding through the flesh. I wanted to see. When I was little, my mother always clutched my hand and cried out, "Don't look!" And as I got older, she would ask, "Why do you look?" Fascination, as simple and mysterious as that. This is the way we fall into things, how our awareness is awakened. Don't turn your head. Keep looking at the bandage place. That's where the light enters you. Somewhere deep within you, I suspect that you already know the truth of these 3 lines. Yet, despite this knowing, we are continually turning away from ourselves, from the fullness of our own experience. If we do not look at our own wounds, our own unwanted, rejected places, acknowledging, honoring, and reclaiming them within our accommodating presence, how can we possibly do this with others? During the last 10 years, I have met thousands of health professionals pained by the distance they felt between themselves and those who seek their care, wishing things could be different, wondering where to begin. And I have met patients who have touched their own inner strength by looking into the bandage place with new eyes, opened eyes. Eyes willing to look unflinchingly into what is most troubling and distressing, only to simultaneously discover in the depths the entering light.
So in the reading that Adris just offered, I'm inclined to be more like Saki Santarelli's mother. In the face of scars and stitches and shots, I'm more apt to say to myself, don't look. I have often been squeamish when it comes to viewing medical procedures, for example. If I got a shot or give blood, I never look. For months, I went to an acupuncturist. I never looked at a single needle. If I'm viewing a movie in which a medical procedure was being performed, with all the gory, bloody, intricate details being shown, limbs being sawed off, or bodies being sawed into, I'll most likely cringe and say to myself, like Santarelli's mother, "Don't look." And soon thereafter, I might blurt out, "Why do they have to show it?" My spouse will routinely respond, "It's only a movie. It's not real blood." Now, you probably wondered how I made it through my hospital chaplaincy internship at Massachusetts General Hospital several years ago as part of my ministry training. Well, if you really want to know, I'll tell you how I did it. Let's lean in. I'll tell you the secret. With my eyes closed. So let me explain. For example, there was the time the head nurse showed me around the day surgery unit where I was asked to pioneer a new chaplaincy program. And after we entered the room, where the procedure room, the nurse pointed out the overhead monitor where I could actually observe the procedure being done on the patient lying below. All I remember is different colors, maybe reds, blues, I don't know. Something looked like it was pulsing, but I closed my eyes. When the nurse saw me with my eyes closed, she declared, "Oh, you're praying." And I paused for a moment, and then I slowly nodded my head, still with my eyes closed, to indicate in the most pious voice I could muster, "Yes, I'm praying." Or there was the time when all the chaplains were sitting in a surgery room, a room in the surgery area, I should say, at the Mass General Hospital. And the surgeon brought in an aluminum tray, just like the kind of trays you might bake cookies on. However, on this tray, there was a removed cancerous part of a body, fresh from surgery. You guessed it, I said to myself, not out loud, "Don't look." And then, why do they have to show it? I closed my eyes. This time I was praying for myself that I would not faint. Or there was the time all the interns were invited to an autopsy. Many of them were so excited. We're looking forward to it for weeks. On the morning of the autopsy, I also closed my eyes real tight as I intentionally slept in. Now, of course, I did actually close my eyes in prayer as a chaplain many times. There were those times which I met with patients or with their families with wide-eyed companionship. I sometimes close my eyes in those circumstances not to avoid squeamishness, but to sense the poignancy of that moment, to listen deeply, to hold space for what others were actually experiencing, to attend the best I could to what the situation seemed to need. And then, in silence and in words, I would oftentimes offer understanding, comfort, prayer, companionship, and care the best that I could. Now, paradoxically, over the years since my chaplaincy internship, I've actually accompanied or visited numerous folks in emergency rooms or recovery rooms or hospital rooms. And in those times, I discovered that I can even assist when absolutely necessary in medical emergencies, no matter how much blood or pain is involved. What I've come to understand or realize is that when I actually have a role to play, I can withstand almost any degree of blood, open cuts, or protruding organs. Just seeing a procedure, like a cancerous part of a body on a cookie tray, or observing an autopsy, all of those I would rather not see. But to be present to a whole human being who just happens to be going through surgery, bleeding or in pain, in those occasions, somehow, I don't have any squeamishness. I suspect that in those moments there's a strength that arises, a strength that I can feel in offering presence, in sitting alongside, in companioning a whole person in the healing process. I've come to understand that oftentimes our own narrative about the body, about the healing process, about the work of medicine, may more often than not create a distance than a presence, more often than we might even realize. Santarelli even mentions in the reading how even those in health professions may feel pained by the distance that they felt between themselves and those in their own care. One of those distancing narratives, I think, in our high-tech medical world is our tendency to think that medicine is like going into a repair shop. Some of us may relate to this. It's like a car repair shop. We might get a part or two replaced. We might need to get a tune-up or a checkup and get a few pills maybe to keep us moving along. And then we're good to go until after several more miles of living, we might need to go in for more repair, more tune-ups, and so forth. Now, don't get me wrong, there are indeed wonders of modern medicine, and I applaud all of those. But at the same time, our tendency to think of our body as merely a compilation of autonomous parts limits medical care, as well as our own actual role in the partnership that we each can have toward healing. We tend to forget that what doctors do is nudge us toward healing, but that the healing work is ours to do. I've learned about some of the shortcomings of modern medicine actually from reading some doctors whose writings have intrigued me. They write on what has been called slow medicine. A lot of people experience modern medicine, not always, but sometimes as fast medicine. Shorter and shorter appointments, quick to dispense not only pills, but even to dispense the patient as quickly as possible. One often gets the sense that doctors have to be more present to their screen than to the living, breathing, wondering person sitting in front of them. This, to me, seems like the opposite of presence. I've been intrigued by some of these writings of doctors who have made the case for, as I mentioned, what they call slow medicine. In her book, Slow Medicine, The Way of Healing, Dr. Virginia Sweet, who is now Associate Clinical Professor of Medicine at the University of California in San Francisco, came to a deeper understanding of how depersonalized healthcare in some of its technological and institutional manifestations can be. And she learned it through a personal experience. Her own father, who was being hospitalized, was misdiagnosed and thus not treated correctly simply because the medical staff in that particular instance did not spend enough time to learn about her father's previous medical history. In fact, her father nearly died in a hospital because he had forgotten to take his seizure medication. She writes, he needed a pill and some rest. And instead, he was put on a stroke protocol and placed in restraints. Dr. Sweet summarizes her experience in this way. I'd known that healthcare was getting ever more bureaucratic, that doctors and nurses were spending more and more of their time in front of a computer screen entering healthcare data. I'd experienced it myself. But until that week, and until after she had discharged her father, she had no idea how bad it had become. If I, she writes, as a physician, couldn't get appropriate care for a family member in a lovely community hospital with a well-trained staff, who could? What had happened to medicine and nursing, she asked herself. So after withdrawing him from the hospital, she ordered her father's electronic health records from that fateful week in the hospital. The answers to her questions became immediately apparent. The document was 812 pages long. It took her 4 hours to read it. It began not with doctor's notes, but with hundreds of pages of pharmacy orders. And then there were pages of nursing notes with just check marks. And only the doctor's notes provided some kind of narrative, and mostly they were cut and paste, she writes. No wonder no one could figure out what was really going on with her father. Still, to be fair, although I found mistakes in the records, she writes, her father had after all gotten discharged. But she had to admit that judging by those electronic records, his stay in the hospital looked on the surface to everyone involved as 100% quality assured. However, and this is the gist of her message and her insight, there was something missing, and it was hard to put my finger on it. Everything looked so good in the computer, and yet what my father had gotten was not medicine but health care. Medicine without a soul. What do I mean by a soul, she asked. I meant what my father did not get was presence, attention, and kindness. Dr. Virginia Sweet advocates that good medicine takes more than amazing technology. It takes time to respond to bodies as well as data, time to arrive at the right diagnosis and the right treatment. Medicine, she makes us see, is a craft and an art as well as a science. It's relational, personal, even spiritual. To do it well requires hard-won wisdom that no algorithm can replace, that brings together fast and slow in a truly effective, efficient, sustainable, and humane way of healing. Her account summarizes for me why I think we need to be able to take on our own rightful role in the healing process for ourselves and for those that we care about and for those in our community. We need to reclaim our role in the healing process. You might, yes, indeed say we need to return soul to medicine and keep bringing some presence, some care, some kindness to the whole person. More and more, we're coming to understand that our emotional well-being and our physical well-being are not separate, but are interrelated. They're interrelated dimensions of the one human being that we are. We understand that we're not actually dissected into physical body here, emotions over there, mental activity over there, that our healing process involves the intersection of all these dimensions of the self, and that healing can be accessed through any of these channels. As Dr. David Friedman and Rabbi Judith Abrams in their book Illness and Healing in the Jewish Tradition reminds us, many religious traditions have always had this holistic understanding of the healing of a co-joined body, mind, and spirit through loving human relationships, communal support, and individual will. When we are present, when we are really present to our own illness, our own disease, and whether it's physical or emotional or some combination of the both, we can be more attentive as well to the ways of healing that would speak more directly to our own condition. I've come to understand that an illness, no matter how major or minor, often does create a pause in our life, a pause worth paying attention to, worth surrounding ourselves at that time of pause with real caring, attention, and compassion from ourselves and from others. I believe that we can participate more fully in being present to our whole self during those pauses, most of which we do not expect. For these pauses can become opportunities in which we and our loved ones can, and medical staff can, participate in the healing process together. These become pauses in which we can re-examine our priorities, work with our anxieties and our stresses, cherish what otherwise we may have taken for granted. And so, what I have learned in some of my research on slow medicine is that it complements whatever medical procedures are required. It allows us to do the healing work within the pause by entering the narrative of our life in some distinct and intentional ways, ways that require attention and intention. In this slow medicine approach, a checkup might include all the usual pulsing and prodding and poking, but also include more questions, more conversations about our life and our narrative about life. Michael Finkelstein, in his book entitled Slow Medicine, Hope and Healing for Chronic Illness, offers such questions that evoke particular conversations between him and those he's caring about. Questions about a person's level of happiness, balance, peace. The checkup might also focus on, and I quote, how well you're aligned with the natural rhythms and cycles. How you understand yourself as not just a collection of autonomous parts, but as a whole entity, inextricably linked to the elements of our mind and our purpose. Questions about our past and our present hurts, about how present we are to our own experience in our present moment, including our relationships to others, to ourselves, and to nature. So this kind of slow medicine is something that all of us can participate in, whether or not we're part of a medical profession. It's the kind of deeper conversation and attention and intention that we give to ourselves in those inevitable pauses that occur in our life during times of illness, disease, or just in the ordinary living of our days. Now, I believe that personal healing is also connected to social healing. As a faith community, we might ask, what can we do to support the caregivers as well as those in need of care? What ways can we provide music and prayer and meditation, reflective reading, inspiration, and community as ways of healing that allow each of us to be present to the pause that disease, dis-ease, or illness may present to us? Santarelli says, if we keep our eyes open, we begin to discover that the healing relationship is itself a pathway, a way of working with ourselves and with others. And so my deepest hope for us, given the pains in our world, given whatever pains any one of us might be holding for ourselves or for others, that we might find the courage to be more and more present to one another, present to the bandaged places, to the hurting places, to the needy places, and see each of them as an invitation, a direct invitation to participate in the healing and the liberation of each other in our world, to participate in deeper conversations with one another, rather than to retreat to engage, rather than to seek only refuge, seek times to reemerge as a caring, healing, liberating community for one another. I believe that more and more we're called into ways of being present in this world that can bring more healing about. At a time when some denounce the dignity of others because of their gender identity, or their race, or their cultural identity, or sexual orientation, we are called to act in ways that persistently embody the inherent worth and dignity of every person. That is a way of being a collective healing presence. At a time when we are experiencing more and more direct evidence of a climate crisis, we are called to practice ways of embodying a respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are part. And that is a way of personal and collective social healing. At a time, indeed, at a time when democracy is being undermined and threatened, we are called to act in ways that embody our principle, not just articulate it, to embody the use of the democratic process in society at large. And that is a way of personal and collective social healing. Our Unitarian Universalist principles, if they are only words, lack the healing power that is their potential. It's only in embodying these principles that we become a healing presence to one another and to the various places in our world that need that kind of healing and liberating presence. So let's join now in a prayerful way together. Spirit of life and love, abide with us. Help us to not take even this moment's breath for granted. Allow us to appreciate the miracle and the wonder of the human body, even when we or those we love are ill or in dis-ease, even when we are terrified and feeling vulnerable. For we know that the body, the mind, and the spirit are intricately connected. We know that we can be a vessel for embodying the best of the Spirit in the everyday. To be healed is to know that we are also interrelated, that we as a community of faith depend on one another, that we can care for the common health of all. May we more fully enter the pauses that our life presents to us and be present to them so that healing may occur. Amen.
As we've already mentioned, there are some really exciting things happening at the church in the next few weeks. If you have not seen the church weekly e-news, website, or Facebook page, then you might not have known until today that we are hosting a day camp for adults and that the in-gathering service is now an in-gathering weekend. You may have also missed the projects and initiatives to support young adults who have aged out of foster care, or the programs to encourage people to vote, and other social justice activities. Or maybe you missed the poetry workshops or opportunities to connect with other UUs in small groups. Don't miss out on the events that are important to you. Even better, stretch yourself by volunteering to help. And our church always benefits from your financial donations so that we can continue to contribute to our community in many different ways. And there are 4 ways you can give to the church, as displayed on your screen. For those here in the sanctuary, you can leave cash or checks in the box at the back of the sanctuary today. You can always mail a check to the church. You can go online to our website to donate. Or you can use the Vanco Mobile Faith Engagement app on your smartphone to make a contribution. And thank you for your generosity. Please join me in dedicating our offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
Keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around.
You've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open. Though the waves want to push you around. Though the waves want to push me around. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open until my faith brings me back to solid ground. Until my faith brings me back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open. Though the waves want to push you around. Though the brings me back to solid ground, until my faith brings me back to solid ground.
Adris, before you do the extinguishing of the chalice, I want to make an announcement about next week, because it's going to be different when you come here next Sunday. We're going to have coffee and tea outside under a tent before the service at 8:45. We're going to have a meditation group led by Rebecca Fisher at 9:45 to 10:15. When you come into the sanctuary, you're going to notice, brace yourself, that the chairs are going to be arranged in a different formation. And then following the service, we're going to have lunch, and we're going to have family activities and workshops. And those activities and those workshops and family activities will include Monday and Tuesday. Maybe you've seen our brochure with all of the activities that are planned for you and for any friends that you'd like to invite into any of this fun during the 28th through the 30th. So we have about 50 or so people registered now. I want to really acknowledge the members of our congregation who are offering these opportunities. There's over 20 of us that are part of this effort to reemerge. So join us if you can. Invite a friend to our reemergence summer camp for adults. Will you be there? Okay.
Within each of our hearts, there is a most glorious light. Go forth and let its spark help you understand what troubles both you and others. Go forth and let its light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Go forth and bring its ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit, that they may find healing. Go forth and fan the flames of passion to help heal our world. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness of the world. Go forth and share your glorious light with the world. And now please rise in body and spirit to sing hymn number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door.
May nothing evil cross this shore, and may ill fortune never cry about these windows, save a roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart, the wall, the world grow chill, will keep you warm. He shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these waltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living.